Hey everybody, how are you guys doing today? AMC Bigums here. I hope you're all having a good day. This video, I hope you guys share this one. I hope you watch this all the way through. I'm going to tie everything together for you. We're going to talk about sex trafficking, arson, drug trafficking, theft, money laundering. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff in this video. This is one that you guys definitely want to watch this all the way through. Before we get into all of that, though, I want to show you guys why I keep talking about a market crash and everything that's going to happen and the great reset. If you guys look at, obviously, besides the flash crash, at previous crashes in the history of the market, most of them were from exactly what you're seeing nowadays: low wages, an accumulation of debt, large bank loans that could not be liquidated, large banks doing what we are seeing nowadays: money launder, give out loans they shouldn't be doing, shorting, naked credit default swaps. It's the same stuff that happened in almost all of these stock market crashes. But I want to go ahead and show you guys quite a bit of stuff here. So this article is going to be from 1971. I want to show you guys that it was so bad back then. It's gotten worse now, and it's bad, you guys. So first thing I want to show you guys, this is a guy who testified against drug cartels way back in the day, and he's talking about Wall Street. And this is in an interview after his court hearing, he said that if I were to describe the situation on Wall Street, I would call it a free-for-all. Everybody is stealing. The messengers, the clerks, even the supervisory personnel. I'm going to just skip here right now. It said he testified that certain banks in New York, which he declined, were in collusion with organized crime and turning stolen securities for their financial advantage. What they're actually doing, you guys, is they would have these organized crime members go into other brokers, other places where they could get the paper copies of these securities, and they would steal them under their shirt, and they would take those stolen securities and they would use those as their own collateral. Let's see here. So he said that they would bribe the loan officers with the stolen securities as collateral. He also said that no doubt that the public officials had been corrupt by organized crime. I just want to skip down here a little bit and show you guys the stuff that really matters on hand here. Said 31 million Americans, blah, 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 wanted on hand. So this is why they did it that way. There are three types of thieves in Wall Street. He said there's ones that steal for themselves. The second is people that were made to steal from, either induced through fear or the promise of profit. And the third and most potentially harmful is the employee placed in position by the underworld for criminal purposes. So they were talking about this stuff in 1971, you guys. What he's talking about in that third one is, as you guys, for AMC as an example, you had Apollo Management Group try to get it overtake it. And they got people on the board. They were making bad decisions on purpose. They were trying to bankrupt the company. They told the company to declare bankruptcy multiple times. They would have made $1 billion if they would have. Adam Aaron ended up getting a loan from Mudrick Capital, and that was in 2008. And now the rest is history. But you guys can see this stuff was being carried out back in the day. Now, I want to get into some here. So I want to show you guys here real quick before we get out of this. So this is a very key important part. So to cover up these thefts back in the day, a small fire was started to cover the theft. Now, I know a lot of you are instantly thinking about the fires that we just saw. I want to show you guys some stuff here before we even get into these banks being connected to the mafia and stuff. Let's look at these fires. Now, my buddy here, his name is Corey AMC1 on Twitter. Give him a follow. He does very good research. He does insanely good research. Now, one of the things he investigated from that fire the last, couple months ago is Iron Mountain. And Citadel has ownership in Iron Mountain. Of course, they have it in everything, but this Iron Mountain gets really sketchy. Now, they seem to have ties to all of these banks, and they seem to always be burning on documents that are so important, as we just now seen and we can't get them back. Classic. And what these, I believe, are these ISDA agreements that I've been going over. I believe that they are writing these ISDA contracts, making synthetic shares, and when they get too out of control with them, like they just did, they just burn them down to the ground. Now watch how many fires, you guys. Watch how many fires this company has with these banks. You have 2 in 1997, 1 in 2006, 1 in 2014, another one in 2014. Fears destroyed irreplaceable documents. Irreplaceable. Now you come down here. They're tied to Citibank. 1997. Another fire. Crazy. A second fire at another 3 different locations from Iron Mountain facilities. You come down. 2006. Another fire. Another fire in 2012 or July 12th, 2006. Continuously burning files. It's always files. Destroys 2009. Fire destroys thousands of mortgage bond documents. Let's see here. Another one down here. 2011, 2014. 2014. This one actually killed 9 people. Who was it involved with? HSB, JNP, and JP Morgan. And now we're going to cover all 3 of those people. First, let's get into HSB. Now, right around that time, remember that time frame, okay? Right around that time, they actually got charged $1.9 billion for doing what? Working as the middleman for Mexican drug cartels. What kind of documents do you think they were burning? They're Mexican drug cartel documents. They killed 9 people to try and cover up their Mexican drug cartel, their cartel documents. Pathetic. Now, I want to go ahead and show you some more stuff here. You got some more banks. Wells Fargo. 5.7 tons of cocaine being brought in. Go down here. There's more. But the one that I really want to bring up. Now, remember how I brought up JP Morgan Chase? And other people keep burning things to the ground. JP Morgan Chase seized with 20 tons of cocaine. The biggest drug cartel, the biggest drug dealers in the United States is our own banks. Our own banks are what's bringing almost all of these drugs over. Now, I'm going to come on and pull this over. We have 2,100 documents. I'm not going to go ahead and pull them up and go through them all, so don't worry. But we have 2,100 documents. Once again, JP Morgan, HSB continuously keep coming up. You have more and more banks continuously being tied to drug cartel, the banking cartel. It's non-stop. These guys are literally our biggest drug cartel, our biggest drug traffickers. They're also the biggest arson. They are literally killing people in these fires. So they're also murderers. Now, let's just, all right, so we've covered this one. We've covered this one. Money laundering. Guess who they're money laundering for? Themselves, all the billionaires, and I just showed you they're laundering for drug cartels, the mafia, rich oligarchies, people in other countries that shouldn't be getting money. JP Morgan Chase. Like I said, it's beyond disgusting. They're the biggest criminals, not only in the United States, in the world. And not only that, I've already showed you what they're doing here. So the next one, you got theft in the stock market. I've already shown you how they have $1 quadrillion in the derivatives market. $488 trillion is interest rates payments that were repackaged, securitization, repackaged up and sold again. ISDA can control the over-the-counter market. ISDA can control the stock market prices. Stock market prices over-the-counter can never control ISDA. So in the end of the day, the banks have complete control over the stock market. And guess who runs it? The DTC. Who's? The banks. So that is how they're stealing in the stock market. Now you got money laundering. And now let's tie it together again with some sex trafficking. Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein, who he is linked to. Now, what did end up happening to these people? They just stepped down. That's it. Did they go into jail and all this? Nope. Jess Staley. Guess who he went? JP Morgan. You got another guy down here. Remember how I talked about Apollo Management Group who was trying to attack AMC? Guess what? That CEO, the guy who was attacking AMC, convicted. Here you go. He's one of Jeffrey's guys. Victoria, you got CEOs. You got these people right here were literally doing the money laundering through anonymous donations for him. You had Bill Gates dealing with him, and I know you guys remember that his wife talked about when the divorce, and JP Morgan, once again, JP Morgan. Yeah, I know you guys saw that she talked about it was Jeffrey Epstein was involved in that. And what else? Another hedge fund manager. Like I said, it's continuously guys who are now what? Stages in JP Morgan in 2004. JP Morgan. See how they come up quite a bit? Kind of crazy, isn't it? Now, so these banks, they've gotten away with, we already saw 9 killings that we know of. You got sex trafficking, arson, drug, theft, money laundering. No laws for them. What do they get for all that? $1 billion fines, $1.9 billion fines. Guess who pays those fines for these banks? Because they're considered too big to fail. So if they need a bailout, guess what? Well, they probably paid that fine and went straight for a bailout, and we ended up paying it for them. So, like I said, they're too big to fail. Oh, here you go. Given the bank size, it appears they're too big to jail too, because they are a bit too big to fail. So no one went to jail. No one cares. It's good to go. Like I said, you guys, the biggest criminals in the world is these bankers. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about some other things here real quick. What else happened in 1971? There's a reason why I went to that date. We went away from the gold standard. Now, we also went away from it's called the Bretton Woods system and the 1944 agreement, which gave the dollar a ton of power. And basically what we ended up doing is we tried to get away from the gold standard because, as you guys can see, when you come down here, where was it? Hold on. Basically what happened is we ended up having too much money. There's too much currency. Here we go. There's too much currency in circulation. So Nixon started to deflate the dollar to try and combat that in the value in gold. It used to be 1/35th, and he devalued it to 1/38th. And then he devalued it once again to 1/42nd. Well, that backfired. I don't know what he was thinking. So the second we went away, listen, think about this. The second we went away from the gold standard into a fiat currency, we already started off screwed up. So his plan backfired, and it created a run to the U.S. gold reserve because everybody was like, why would I hold a devaluing dollar when I can just go trade that in for gold, which the price of that gold is going up. So, like I said, it's the stuff that our country does, and just, it's so ridiculous. Though our politics are literally just so unintelligent, insane. Now, some of the things I want to show people quick here with these SDRs. So these SDRs are called standard. Here we go. 1 second here. The reason I want to pull this up before actually I get into this. So I can't skip this part. It makes no sense. So during this time, what they ended up doing was making a world bank. It's the IMF. And this bank is going to be, so if the world's having problems, they can also create these rights. They're called SDRs, and they can go ahead and trade those in for cash. They have a cash value that we'll go over here in a second. And this is the way that people, if they're struggling, they can borrow from this reserve and put it into the reserve and fix their financial system or get their credit back up. They could do a whole bunch of things with these SDRs. Well, we'll show you what our government's doing with them. So they got 650 billion equivalent of SDRs were issued, which in total, in real value, ends up being worth $950 billion. Okay, so if you come look here, so it's actually worth $943 billion. Now, if you come look over here at the United States, as you guys can see, this shows you the percentage of the total that everyone got. And as you guys can see, I'm constantly looking. You have yet to see anybody. Oh, Korea got 1.8, 6.4 for Japan. So they're getting very, very low percentage, right? 6 point. Germany's at 6. Not very much. Well, then you look at the United States. The United States ends up getting 17.43%. Now, we end up being able to, what you can do with these special drawing rights is, like I said, you can use them to supplement your reserves, and you can either exchange them for actually money, whatever you want to do with them, pay down debt. You can do all sorts of things. Well, we put it into the reserve, and what has our reserve been doing with all this money? They've been buying up all the houses on us and charging us. They've just been buying up the houses. As I showed you guys, they have $1 trillion in, over $1 trillion in mortgage-backed securities because they're propping up the housing market. Like I said, it's to the point where we've had to come over to the World Bank because our economy is so messed up. We needed to get all these SDRs to try and dig ourselves back out. And instead, what they're doing with all those SDRs, they turned it into cash, put it in the reserve to get the balance back. And now they're using that, as we saw, they have the highest balance ever. And they're using that to buy mortgage-backed securities to once again screw over the middle class. Why? Because now no one can buy a house. The average house cost is now $500,000, and then they just raise rates to 5%. Now, who's buying those when nobody has money? Who's buying those with inflation? Now, as you guys can see, we're going to look back to this once again. You have low wages. Everybody's debts accumulating. Price of food's going to go up here real rapidly, as you guys could see. I don't know if you guys saw in Germany, they just raised the price on Monday, food 50 to 20%. So, like I said, guys, there's a whole bunch of things that history's just repeating itself over and over and over. So, like I said, prepare yourself for this dollar collapse. Prepare yourself for this stuff. Exactly what they did. Once they saw we were getting away from the gold standard, everybody rushed and they went and traded all their dollars in for gold. They went in and traded commodities. Investors switched to commodity trading. That is key, you guys. Like I said, these banks are the biggest issues. These are who we need to attack. We need to get that too big to fail tag off them because they think they're above the law because of it. And they pretty much are. So, like I said, guys, these are the guys who are manipulating the stock market, writing as the contracts, sham resets, whatever they got to do. They're the ones taking the bribes. They're the ones that are letting everybody get away with everything. Banks, banks, banks. Thank you for listening, guys. I hope you have a good day.